All over the world, airports are abuzz with thousands of passengers passing through their terminals each day. And from endless emotional journeys come countless stories. Emotional reunions.
When I need some rest and some love, I come to it.
Unknown journeys.
How far delayed is it? Well, at the moment it's only about 45 minutes, but I'll see if it's an hour.
Heartbreaking goodbyes.
I suppose it tears at your heartstrings, for want of a better way to describe it.
And heated situations. This is Dublin Airport, and these are their stories. Welcome to Dublin Airport, a place charged with emotion and countless stories that span its two terminals. Our journey begins in the check-in area with the Owens family. Nancy is here today to say goodbye to her dad, Mac, who is heading back home to New York.
The anticipation of coming here was a great thing. It lasted for, we had planned it about 2 months ahead. So those 2 months, the anticipation was an emotion that I had. Now, conversely, leaving them, it's a very sad thing. It's been 2 years since I've seen her, although we keep in touch a lot on Skype, but we still haven't seen each other, and we have a close relationship, so it's hard not to see her physically.
I'm here 20 years, but it's always hard to say hello and goodbye because I don't know when the next time is I'm going to see him. You know, there was a time where I was going yearly, and with the recession and all that, it's not like that. And I never thought that would be. I thought I'd see him more frequently, you know. So when he comes and he goes, it's always a stress of, you know, saying, I don't know when I'm going to see him again. I came over to Ireland because I met my husband in Spain, and we were in ACT, and we decided we would go to Ireland or New York. And in the end, I met his family, and I fell in love with them. And I decided we would try Ireland, you know, because I kind of liked it, and I thought it was nice. And I've made my life here.
The father-daughter, you can never replace. That's something special, that's warm, that's, you know what boys are. Hi, Dad, hi, Pop, I'm leaving, so long, goodbye. With Nancy, I sit and we talk.
We have a very close relationship. It's very special, because I lost my mom a long time ago. She was 47 of breast cancer, so sad in that way. But I think when you have the only parent living, you make an effort. He's like a really, really good friend. I can talk to him about anything. This trip is really good each day. We had like an A plan and a B plan. A was like what we would like him to do, and B was like maybe what he might not like to do. And I think he kind of wanted to spend time with us, you know, as a family. That's all that really meant anything was the time spent with us.
It's very hard for my daughter far away. As I say, the only contact we really have is through the internet. And although, as I say, with the advent of the camera, that's a great boon for us in our relationship. But it's still hard not having her there to hug her, to kiss her, to talk to her, talk privately, you know, when no one's around, because you're on the internet, someone's always around watching you or talking to you, and so forth and so on. Yeah, it's hard.
Just the whole thing of having him for a week, you remember who you are. I'm always in approval mode, and I ask him questions about our history, things I didn't get, and the urgency, I suppose, in the week of making every single minute count, because I cherish that.
Yeah, I'm certainly not excited about leaving. You know, I feel very sad about leaving, because you never know when the next time I'm going to see them. I'd like to see them soon, but one never knows.
This is Dublin Airport's fire station, on call 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. In the course of any one day, they can deal with up to 600 flights passing in and out of their airspace. And they're responsible for the safety of millions of passengers.
Aircraft incidents don't happen very regularly here at Dublin Airport, but when they do, we have to respond quickly between 2 minutes, not exceeding 3 minutes. So in that way, our crews have to be trained and constantly trained on an ongoing basis.
It is the responsibility of Station Officer Eamon Donoghue to put these officers through their paces as they simulate a number of scenarios, including a road traffic collision, a chemical spillage, and an aircraft fire. For the officers' first task, they must erect a triage tent, which is often deployed in medical emergencies.
Well, the training basically is aimed at everybody. It's not just the firefighters. The training for myself, I get a good understanding of the strengths and weakness of everybody within the fire service that I am dealing with. The deployment of the tent in itself, you would have to be trained because there's an awful lot of equipment in relation to the tent. There's lights, there's generators, there's hoovers for blowing up the tents. So there's a lot of equipment on that trailer in relation to getting the tent set up. So in relation to training, we first have to look at the issue if it's in darkness. If this happens at night, we look at battery operated lights, so it will give us instant light straight away. That gives us a time to get the main lights set up on generators while the tent is being unfolded and trying to get the hoovers on to get that tent up in position.
As we saw, the deployment of the emergency tent here involves a number of people using various pieces of equipment to get a successful deployment of the tent. We'd only see this tent going out when we have a major incident outside on the airfield. This is where the fire crews, where we're supported by Dublin Fire Brigade, we rescue the casualties, bring them to this area here, where they will be screened in this tent, which would hold the 16 people on stretchers, and they will be screened from there to go with the walking wounded or else to go to hospital.
That is the system. We now have our boards in place and just have a final look around when we have everything up. Have a final look around to make sure everything is proper and everything is safe.
Once completed, the officers head outside to deal with their next task, the safe removal of a casualty from a road traffic collision. Back in departures, reality is setting in for Mac, who must soon say goodbye to his daughter Nancy and grandson Bradley. And he knows just how important it is to make the most of these precious moments.
I'd love to see them more often, especially because of my age. I mean, how much longer do I have to be hanging around here to be able to see them? So, yes, I would love to see them much more often than I can. But, again, we have an economy problem, we have a distance problem. It'd be nice to get them all together in one spot, but it's almost impossible to get them all together at the same time.
I suppose I was up all last night and I'm anxious. I suppose it tears at your heartstrings, for want of a better way to describe it. And then I think, will that be the last time with the grandchildren? He's 79 now, and although he's even my kids would say he's the youngest grandfather on the planet, you know what I mean? Because he's very cool, he plays golf, he still works in the insurance business, he plays with stocks, he goes to the bookies, he drinks a few vodkas with us. He's like a young man in some respects, even though he's older. But there's that fact about him being 79. I get teary even going there. I can't even think about him not being here. For me, it would be like horrific. Having him over here was fantastic. I mean, because I suppose he comes into my house as opposed to a hotel, and you know, and I love my stepmother, but I suppose it gave us time to be together and be part of where I'm living now, and we kind of just jump back into where we're at with each other. So family is it. At the end of the day, there is nothing else. You know, when you get down to it, with all that's going on, and happening in the world, and you get all into, you sweat all the small stuff. But family remains and is constant.
Walks through, I don't like this part. Priority is not good for me.
Bye.
I love you.
All in all, it's been a great trip. I'd love to do it next week again, but you know, things happen and things have to be planned, and we'll see.
Bye-bye. I love you. Take care.
For the thousands of passengers who travel through here each day, this airport can lead people to exciting new places and give them unique opportunities. In T1 Departures, Sean, an aid worker with Trócaire, has just arrived with his family to head back home to Uganda.
Hi guys, I wonder would you tell me why you're here at the airport this morning? Hello to you too. She is gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous.
Hi. Why are you here this morning? We're here obviously, I work for Trócaire. Myself and Irene and Cara live in Uganda in Central Africa.
This is Irene.
This is Irene.
Is this and this Cara?
This is Cara.
Hello, Cara.
We're on our way back to Uganda today. We've been in Ireland for 2 weeks. So we're on our way home in a sense. I'm based full-time in Uganda, and I came home to help to launch the Lenten campaign. The focus of this year's Lenten campaign is on northern Uganda, specifically on the communities that we work with that have come out of war and are trying to rebuild their lives. So as a practical example of this year's Trócaire box and the billboards all over town and all over Ireland have a young boy called Daniel. He's on the front of the box, he's on all the posters. He's 9 years of age and he comes from a small rural village called Barkwatch. And this is one of the communities that we work with. So I met Daniel just before I left Uganda. I was in that village again, and I suppose his story is very, very symbolic of the types of issues we work on in Uganda, and also very symbolic of the history of that community.
Sean and his family make their way over to check in, only to discover there's a problem.
How far delayed is it? Well, at the moment it's only about 45 minutes, but obviously if it's an hour, only an hour, like 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's a very tight connection in Istanbul.
All right, so nothing we can do.
Okay, well Nancy will be down in a few minutes anyway, so if you want to hold on for her.
That's grand.
If you want to actually just go to the ticket desk and just start queuing
stay with
some
her.
people. Yeah.
Okay, right.
Okay.
Grand, thanks.
Well, I still see the bags, so
Yeah.
you haven't checked in.
No.
Have you decided to stay here after all?
I'm getting homesick.
What's happened? Is there something?
I think there's only a very short connection in Istanbul. Obviously, there's not a huge amount of flights going in and out of somewhere like Uganda. And they've basically said that the flight out is delayed 45 minutes, so they don't know if we'll make the connection. So I suppose we have to decide.
Do we
Might
stay
be
out
better
for a
to
day?
spend 2 days in Ireland than 2 days in Istanbul.
Elsewhere in Departures, the O'Flaherty family have gathered to say goodbye to their daughter and her family, who are heading back home to Holland.
You're living away from home.
Yeah.
You're over in Holland, is it?
Yeah, I've been there now for about 10 years. I left in 2002, yeah.
Met a Dutch man, I take it?
Yeah, she did.
Handsome Dutch man.
A very handsome Dutch man.
Yeah.
And these are your gorgeous three children.
Yeah.
It must be wonderful for Granny to have the kids back in the house.
They're gorgeous.
Aren't they adorable?
They're lovely.
And you've been back just for a week.
Yeah, we came back for a week. We weren't home at Christmas. So she's off school now for a week. So I said we'd just come over.
Do you miss home?
I do, yeah, and I don't. Sometimes I do. Like the culture in Holland is much different than here.
Yeah.
And yeah, socially it's much different. And I have to say that the Irish people are much more friendly. You're friendly people in Holland as well. But
Where's Marvin?
but it's just the mannerisms and things like that. That's what I miss.
That's
more
what
so
you
than
miss. And
anything
of
else.
course, do you miss your dad?
I do, of course. Yeah.
Is she?
Say that now.
Is she the apple of your eye?
Oh, they're all.
You have to say that. 8 children. Wow.
You can imagine.
Do you miss your brothers and sisters?
I do. I have to say I do. Yeah.
It's so hard, isn't it?
It is hard, yeah. But
they have children around the same age.
and that's the thing. Like for the kids, they miss their cousins. But we Skype.
Your Skype is great.
So that's great. Yeah.
And there's wee Connor. He's so good.
He's tired.
It's hard being in the airport with children, isn't it?
It is. It's tiring. Well, we came
But
up
they were very
on the
well
bus.
organised. They came on the bus from Galway.
Ah, very good.
When I got up this morning, everything was packed and organised. It was really.
And is it hard for you now to say goodbye? Because, of course, when you arrive in the airport, you're full of excitement and joy. This is the sad bit, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's not so nice to say goodbye. But then on the other hand, we're only an hour and a half.
No,
Yes.
no, it's not that
So
far
that's, that's the good part.
Will
about
Mum
it,
and
yeah.
Dad come to see you in Holland?
Oh, probably.
Maybe.
Putting you on the spot now, Nanny.
No, the thing I find, you see, if I could get a bed and breakfast like you get in Ireland.
Yes.
But no, and there's only the hotel that's near is very, very expensive. Like with her small children, it wouldn't be fair,
exactly,
disturbing the whole house. But there isn't, like here you get a bed and breakfast down the road, but you cannot do that in Ireland. So.
Well, you never know. You might win the lotto.
Oh, I wouldn't win an argument, never mind the lotto.
Do you know what? It's just so wonderful to see families all together like this in the airport. And I know it's a special time. You must be waiting to go through. I'm going to let you say your goodbyes.
Thanks a million.
Back in the fire station, officers must be prepared for every eventuality. With thousands of cars passing through Dublin Airport daily, road traffic collisions can be a common occurrence.
What we're looking for in relation to RTC incidents is from the start, as we're approaching the scene, we're looking for scene safety, the safety of our own crews that's going to be working around the area. Once we've established a safe zone to work in, we're now going to have a look and check out the occupants within the car and see what casualties and what injuries we may be dealing with the casualties in the car. Once we've stabilised the vehicle and we've looked at the casualty in relation to the injuries they have, we go to set out a process of how we're actually going to get the casualty out of the vehicle. When we come to the area of glass management, the whole idea of glass management is in relation to cutting the vehicle up. If we didn't break the glass prior to cutting the vehicle up, the glass is going to smash at times when we don't want to. So before any other movements on the vehicle are done, we will make sure that the glass management is carried out. In relation to the door removal, we're looking to create space to get the occupant out of the vehicle. Okay? There's various different methods of doing it. In relation to the door, we need to spread the locks and away using the spreaders in between the door and the sills. In relation to the scenarios we set up here today, we need to create area within the footwells so the person's foot was stuck in the pedals. So we've identified that the vehicle needs to be moved away from the person's foot. In that regard, we go through a process of dash roll. So we're looking at a process that would have to be carried out within a time frame of an hour. In RTC instance, you're looking at what they say a golden hour. That golden hour constitutes from the time the accident happens to the time the person is in hospital. So in reality, we may only have about 30, 35, 40 minutes at max to do our cutting and to remove the person from that vehicle to get him into the ambulance and on the way to hospital. Now we have the room within the car to be able to take the spinal casualty out and into the ambulance.
No 2 days are ever the same here at Dublin Airport, as millions of passengers pass through these terminals every year. But amongst all of this hustle and bustle, numerous families are quietly awaiting for their loved ones to arrive. Over in Terminal 1, Job is waiting on someone very special to arrive. These are your flowers?
They are indeed.
Tell me who they're for.
They're for my sister.
And what made you buy flowers for your sister?
Well, now, who wouldn't buy flowers for your sister if she arrives all the way from Holland?
And how long is your sister going to stay with you?
4 days till Saturday. My daughter is in Eureka and Kells, and she does a play this week. And my sister comes over to watch the show tomorrow night.
She's a very good auntie,
Isn't she just? Yeah, she is indeed. She's a special one.
Do you miss your sister living in Ireland?
You would, yeah. You miss your family now. In fairness, you do. It's not so much the day-to-day business, but it's the cup of coffee on the Sunday morning type of thing.
And how long have you been living in Ireland?
I arrived in 1990. 21, 22 years.
Wow.
June, 22 years.
And would you ever consider going back to Holland?
No, not as in yet, no.
And do you go back and forth? Do you go to Holland much?
Yeah, quite regularly. Ever since Michael O'Leary opened up the cheap flights to Eindhoven. He lives pretty near where I live, so...
So you're back and forth a lot?
Quite, I'd say 3 or 4 times a year, yeah.
And you've only one sister?
I've only one sister.
And tell us a little bit about her. Why is she so special?
Because she oozes energy and she is very interested and loving to other people.
When was the last time you actually saw your sister?
That was short. It was in January.
Okay, so not too long ago.
No, because Dad was 85 years of age.
Your dad?
Ma'am, sorry.
Your
Ma'am was 85 years, and we made a kind of a special occasion out of that. Yeah.
They're special moments, aren't they?
They are indeed, yeah. We went for their 65th wedding anniversary as well, which was last year. And on the occasions, the special family occasions, we'd like to go over. If it's suitable, if it's manageable.
Yeah. You've obviously got a very close-knit family.
Yes and no. It's not that we ring every 2 seconds, but there's definitely a special bond.
What are you looking forward to most about seeing your sister? She's going to walk through very soon.
The expression on the face when you see each other. I'm doing this for years now. My wife is Irish, so I'm traveling back and forward. Yeah, I'm used to airport. And I'm always, it's just that fraction of a second when people walk out of the gate and the recognition of each other that you're actually there.
And you give them a hug.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And 3 kisses in all.
3 kisses, of course.
I didn't lose that one now, in fairness. Yeah.
Do you know, there's nothing like that moment when they walk through the gate. As you said, there's a couple of seconds where you're just so happy to see them.
Yeah. And it only goes downhill after that. Is that what you mean?
Back in the fire station, officers are being suited up for their next task. The officers are trained in a number of critical emergency procedures, and in this scenario, a pilot has reported a chemical spillage and officers must enter the aircraft. Assess the situation and deal with the consequences.
You could probably work in the suits for about 15 to 20 minutes. You're wearing your full fire gear and the breathing apparatus inside an enclosed environment, so condensation builds up, it gets fairly hot, and depending on the level of work that you have to do, maybe even in a confined space, dealing with the hazardous material, you're not going to get a long duration out of one wear, so you're probably talking 15 to 20 minutes at a time.
We've located a name and UN number. Are you ready to proceed?
Hey, firm, go ahead with the name and number.
The name is now called. That's November, Alpha, Lima, Charlie, Oscar, 2536.
Okay. 2536.
Alpha, Lima, Sierra,
Oscar. 2536.
Sierra, Oscar.
Methyl
2536.
tetrahydrofuran.
And the guide number is 127. Guide number 127.
Potential hazards. It's highly flammable, easily ignited by heat, sparks or flames.
B18 from SO.
Go ahead, SO.
The spillage in its condition at the moment is fairly safe. We will just need absorbent product to clean up the spill, okay? And we will need to ventilate the area.
The exercise we just conducted there was a hazmat exercise. It was for a pretend spill in the hold of an aircraft where the loaders came across a material which has happened in the past in reality, that they weren't sure of its background, whether it was safe to handle, use, maintain, clean up or inhale. So their procedures are that they call the fire service. So we responded with our domestic fire engine and a Rescue 20, which is our specially designated hazmat vehicle for the fire station here at the airport.
Back in arrivals, out of the corner of his eye, Job spots his sister Doreen.
He's a very special brother because he's going to live in Ireland, of course.
Yeah.
I miss him very much, and we try to connect by now and then.
Well, he said he saw you in January because there was a big family celebration.
Exactly. My mother
85.
had her 85th birthday.
He told me that he has only one sister, yourself.
Yeah, so good for him, yeah. That you only have one.
And when he said all those lovely things about you, I was wondering, I wonder what he's like as a brother. What's he like as a brother?
Okay, excuse me. Go ahead.
Well, not only as a brother, but he's a very special person. He makes his own choices in life, no matter what other people say or think or what's regular in life. He took his own course.
Aww.
He went to Ireland because he fell in love with an Irish woman, but his wife would have stayed in the Netherlands. But he wanted to go to Ireland to follow his own route. He became a sheep farmer, so that's very special.
Absolutely.
We are very, we have a very busy life in the Netherlands, very hectic.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when I need some rest and some love, I come to him.
There's nothing like your brother and your sister. That whole.
He has some boots in his.
I forgot my Barney outfit. You know, I'm special. Everyone is special.
And of course, you're very close to your family because you're coming over to Ireland for a very special reason. You're coming to see your niece, aren't you?
Yeah.
And tell us what she's going to be doing tomorrow.
She has a very important role in a play. She was very excited about it and told me that she has the role as a queen in the play. So I said, when you are playing the queen, I have to be there.
It's lovely to meet you.
Thank you so much.
3 times.
We do it 3 times.
Sorry.
3 times.
We do it once in Ireland. No escaping.
Meanwhile, over in departures, aid worker Sean and his family are joined by Irene's sister Stella as they anxiously wait to see whether or not they can travel back home to Uganda.
When Irene met Sean, do you remember how she described him to you? Did you all know that she was just smitten with him?
Yeah, it was just, we'd say she kind of met this guy, but she didn't know what it was, about him that was kind of unique or whatever, but it was just that Sean was just like such a cool guy, just easygoing, and it's very much like, we'd say, an equal partnership, and they've got such a good dynamic between the two of them because there was always, we'd say, that understanding between them that Sean's work was something that he needed to kind of go abroad for, and for a long time while they were together, he would have been working in Ireland, based in Maynooth with Trocra, but it was always something that they wanted to do together, like to be able to go away and kind of do that work abroad. So
what options do we have there?
At the ticket desk, Sean and Irene are reviewing their options. And it's time now to make a decision.
What they've told us is that we won't make the connection in Istanbul.
Okay.
So we can fly to Istanbul if we want, but there's no flight to Uganda for another 2 days. So we'd basically be in Istanbul for 2 days. So the other option we have is to spend 2 days here and then wait for the next flight out of Dublin.
Well, I hope you have a very safe flight in 2 days' time.
Thank you.
Thanks, continued success with your work, Sean. It was a pleasure to meet you. Have a safe trip, and I wish you all good. It was lovely meeting you. It really was.
With more than 600 flights arriving here daily, each one of its passengers have their own unique story to tell. Down in check-in, Catherine holds her gorgeous daughter Kira as they prepare to fly back to America.
Hi there, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
So you're about to fly out of Dublin Airport.
That's correct.
You've been here for a week. And you brought your gorgeous daughter over to see her grandparents.
That's right. I'm from the United States.
And your husband, is he Irish?
My husband is from Dublin. Yes, he grew up here.
Ah, very good. And what's her name?
Her name is Kira. Kira Elizabeth.
Kira, so beautiful Irish name. Hello, Kira. What was it like flying? The long-haul flight can be a little bit tricky at times.
It was a little tricky.
Hello.
She slept from a good part of the way here, and then she was just playing peekaboo with all the people around us. But no, actually the packing was the hardest part.
And what was it like being here with them, the grandparents? I'm sure they doted on her.
Wonderful. Yes, she was spoiled all week long. I think it's a lot harder now to leave, to come and to leave when we have a baby, because we wish that she were able to be closer to her family and to grow up knowing her Irish connections and Irish roots.
Well, she's been here twice
already.
We'll be
back. Yes, we'll be back lots.
Now, I know you had a little bit of a drama on the flight over, and that's where your husband is now. Tell us a little bit about that.
My husband left his glasses, his reading glasses on the airplane, so he's waiting to see if he can find his glasses amongst all the many glasses that people leave.
Yeah. Hello. She's saying hello. So he's over actually at the Aer Lingus desk, is it?
Yes, correct.
And did he miss them this week?
Yes, he didn't get to read as much as he might have, but I don't know that he would have been reading very much with a baby anyway.
I don't think you get to read anymore when you're a small baby.
No, you really don't.
Unless you're reading children's books.
Right, which we do a lot of that.
Hi there, Thomas, is it?
Yes.
Andrea, very nice to meet you.
How are you?
We've been hearing all about the drama of the glasses.
Yes, now that we have a lot more baby apparel, it's just a longer list of things to remember, and unfortunately my glasses didn't make that list, so.
And did they find the glasses?
No, they didn't, no, so it looks like I'll be getting a new set on Monday morning.
Oh no! What was it like for you, Thomas, to be back with your folks and of course bringing your gorgeous daughter Kira home?
It was great to be able to share that time with Kira, with my parents, and actually my brother was home as well as...
Your brother from the States?
My brother was actually home at the same time, and my sister, who lives in Dublin, was here as well, of course.
So it was a big family affair?
Yeah, it was a good family reunion.
I'd say there was a great celebration all week.
There was. Lots of fun.
And how do you find living in the States now?
Well, I've been in the States for 9 years now, so it's almost like a home away from home. I'm more accustomed to the lifestyle there, so I'm fairly comfortable there.
You'd never come back to live in Ireland?
I think it would be a hard transition at this point, but you can never say never.
And what do you miss most about Ireland?
I think it's my family I would miss the most. That's my main connection to Ireland at this point, my siblings.
But it's great you've been home twice already with Kira.
Yeah, it's really been great for my parents to be able to share this time with Kira and see her developing and growing up.
Well, I wish you a very safe trip back and hope to see you again back on the shores when Kira's a little bit bigger probably.
Over at the fire station training rig, the last task of the day is to undergo an exercise, which will prove intense and challenging.
In relation to today's training, we will have deployment, positioning, getting the external fires under control, and then working from the external fires into internal.
The aircraft could have 300-400 degrees of heat inside it, and as soon as water is introduced to that, well, it evaporates at 100 degrees and it can turn to steam. So if you're not checking your buddy to make sure all of his clothing is covering, all of his protective equipment is covering his person, he can become burnt or scalded going into the aircraft.
Our main aim there is to get into the aircraft as quickly as possible, cool the aircraft down, vent it, and then evacuate the aircraft as quickly and as safely as possible.
It definitely tested you, you know. 1 minute you find yourself backing up a hose crew, putting out an undercarriage fire with running fuel fire as well as the gas there too. So the running fuel definitely adds a certain element to it of palpable danger, because you actually have the running fuel on the ground as well too, while other fires were still being fought. So it makes you think, definitely puts you under pressure, you know. There is an element of danger to it, but it's all in a controlled environment. There's a lot of safety measures that they're very conscious of. There's a person in charge of safety on scene here when we're doing the training. So it is a controlled environment.
The crew is fine. Well done. Okay.
Overall, the training that we've done today has been fairly intense. We've been tested, I suppose, in the majority of the skills that we have to know while we're here.
And finally, aid worker Sean and his family returned to the airport 2 days later to fly back home. We caught up with Sean back in Uganda.
I finally made it back to Uganda, and I'm here in the rural village of Barkwatch in northern Uganda. And this is Daniel, who is on the Trócaire box this year. These are some of the members of Daniel's family, and this is Betty, who is Daniel's mother. He was a small baby in 2004. He was one year old when a group called the Lord's Resistance Army attacked his village. They came in one late afternoon, they rounded up all of the villagers and they started burning houses, and they killed 300 people in his community. Now, he has no memory of this. He was a one-year-old child, but his mother Betty basically grabbed him and ran, and they were two of the survivors of that attack in that village in Barkwatch. He was forced into a refugee camp. His parents lived in absolute misery while this war was carried on. And this war has been going for 20 years. Thankfully, in 2007, the war ended. The guns are now silent. There hasn't been attacks in those villages for the last 4 years. And the work that Trócaire do is really helping those communities to rebuild their lives. We provide water in that area. We provide education for people so that they can rebuild their lives. And I saw him in school for the first time in his life. He was in school, he was struggling with mathematics, but I can imagine, I suppose, my own, at his age, trying to multiply, trying to add. And I suppose a lot of our work is trying to bring normality back to areas that have been racked by conflict, absolutely torn by violence, where there has been a terrible history. And the work that Trócaire does is to rebuild those communities and to work with people to empower them to create a better future for themselves and for their children. But as I sit here today in the glistening sunshine in northern Uganda, things are infinitely better. Peace is here. We've been out with Joelle and Betty. We've been seeing the farm work that Trócaire has supported here. You can see I made it back safe to northern Uganda. The flight was only 2 days delayed, but I have to say it's great to be back here at a place that now I call home.
Thank you, Trócaire. Thank you, Narada.
On our next visit to Dublin Airport, lads on the lash.
Are you going to have a good time?
Yeah! Jed mania erupts. And one woman says a heartbreaking goodbye to her son.
So proud of him. I don't want to overdoing that.